Upstream, are you with me? Under rainbow, flooding in the city, rushing through me. Downpour, upstream, are you with me? Feel it.
Yo, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another installment of the Chelsea Hour. You guys already know how this works. We're just going to talk about Chelsea for an hour. A lot of news popped off today. I haven't done the Casually Chelsea show in some time just because of time constraints. But my guest today did inform me of a few of the things happening today, and we're going to talk about it. First initial reactions from me, probably second or third initial reactions from our guest, but it's all good because our guest is here to give his best and non-biased, I guess, or based comments. How about that? Or based reactions on that, because that's why he's on the show. That's why we like to chat with him. That's why we like to have him on the channel, because we like to have rational people on here. We don't like to have happy clappers. We don't like to have toxic negativity merchants. We like to have people who can think and be rational. And this guy, I would say, is one of the highest thinkers on this platform. Very underrated, I would say. Hey, listen, man, hive mind. All I gotta say, this guy is a great guest. You guys already know him. You guys have seen him on the show. He's a panelist on the Casually FC channel. Yo, guys, you already know what to do. Give it up for RSM TV, ladies and gents.
Man. Listen, glad to be here. Talk some Chelsea, you know?
Yeah. Welcome to your first time to Casually FC, bro.
First time on the Chelsea Hour, but yeah.
Yeah. No, listen, I like to have different guests on here, rotate it a bit, get some different opinions, see a different side of, because it's one thing to be on a panel, and it's a totally different thing to be like a one-on-one, just like let's chat it up, like podcast style kind of thing. So I figured we'd do that. But yo, how you doing? How you feeling in terms of in life, and then in terms of Chelsea, man? How you feeling?
No, man, good. I had a day off today, so went to the movies, watched Sinners. You know, left.
Yo, everyone's watching that movie. How was it?
10 out of 10. Actually, I ain't gonna lie, it's a masterpiece, bro.
10 out of 10?
I can't lie, yeah. Bro, I ain't gonna lie, bro. I never understood the Haley Steinfeld hype.
Wait, okay, hold up. No, I gotta Google.
I ain't gonna lie, bro. I ain't gonna lie. Call me a milkman, bro. Cause that was crazy. I ain't gonna hold you. Her performance was crazy. No, but that movie, bro, I'm telling you though, that movie is legit. Something I would say is like a piece of art. Would highly recommend for people to go watch. Highly recommend, man. Like 10 out of 10. Probably best movie of the year by far.
Wow, that's
serious,
high praise. I'll be real. That's high praise. Yeah. I mean, listen, I haven't watched the movie in God knows how long. That's probably something. It's something I like to do. Is I do like to go to the movies. You know, you get some of those comfy ass chairs. You bring a date. You share a little bit of popcorn. The rest is history, bro. It's always like one of those things that gets overrated or underrated. I feel like everyone just wants Netflix and chill. Like, bro, whatever happened to going to the movie theaters and just chilling as well? Hey, it's a different experience, man. I fuck with it. But what about Chelsea, man? How you feeling about Chelsea?
Oh, man. I mean, like I said backstage, I think one of the positives. Like one of the few positives that I guess you could somewhat point at is the Arsenal draw. Just means that Liverpool just needed to draw, and like I said, like I think our best hope for that Liverpool game, is literally they just show up, you know, drunk. Like that's all we need, bro. And yeah, I mean, like you look at it, I think Manchester United, especially if they are still in the Europa League, if they're gonna go to the final, they're pretty much throwing every game in the Prem, and I think Amram just kind of showed that with the lineup that he put out over the weekend. I think it had like 3 or 4 new academy kids or something like that. I think he's pretty much saying like, listen, cat's out the bag. We're playing for Europa League. That's all we have left. No, like the teams are already relegated that are relegated. At that point, finishing like 15th and 17th is just 14th, but 17th is just a matter of pride. Like, there's not much left to it. So that's like one of the few positives. I think as well, they said that it was breaking news today as well that, a confidential source said that Lavia is set to receive his first minutes this weekend, and he trained without any issues with the entire team today. So he was in, team training. So, cross our fingers. Hopefully, he has a good impact. Yeah. Against Everton. And also another thing as well, just to keep in mind, because I think it kind of went under the radar, but Maresca will not be on the touchline against Everton.
That did go under the radar. Yeah. He got suspended or something.
He got 3 yellows. Yeah, so he got 3 yellows. He accumulated 3 yellows. Yeah, he got accumulated 3 yellows, so he has to.
But that shit doesn't reset like for the players.
No, I don't think so.
No, so for the whole season, you just gotta not. When did he get the first 2 yellows? What the fuck, bro?
Bro, it literally must have been like weeks ago because I don't remember him getting yellow. But
I bet you he got a yellow when. Remember Cucurella got sent off after the game?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, he definitely. Got a yellow
100%. That was a second. Yeah.
he was in there. He was in there scuffling with Cuckoo, bro. He probably got a yellow for that. But I don't know where the first one would have even came from, or did we know why he got a yellow?
It was like near the end of the game. That's what I know. Because I remember we got the second goal, and then I think it said Enzo Maresca yellow, and I'm like, what even happened? That brother just like it just popped up on the thing, Enzo Maresca yellow. But
what the hell?
I don't know about that.
Yo, Willie Cavallero on the touchline is crazy, bro. You gotta make sure he doesn't. You gotta make sure he doesn't shine his head too much because that'd be glaring the cameras, bro.
Yeah, bro.
It's the wrong angle. It'd be just white screen.
He ain't even got the shadow anymore. Yeah, he's a full Baldwin.
That's crazy. I mean, I never know how much that actually affects the players in the game, but who knows? It might be a good thing or a bad thing. I mean, I don't. I don't think it's that deep, but it is. Isn't it for running on the pitch during celebrations? Maybe.
I have no clue. I never. All I saw was that he got a yellow. I knew it was after the second goal. Like it popped up that he got a yellow. I'm like, I have no clue what happened. But
yeah. But there was some news that happened aside from that. Obviously, the Lavia news is great. One can only hope that he stays fit. But I think at the end of the season. One of these Casually Chelsea shows, I'm probably gonna have a discussion on what are we gonna do about Lavia in terms of the future. Same I think we're gonna have a discussion also on Fofana. But speaking on the future, I think it's probably best we actually have a discussion on some of these transfers that have come in and the news that you were just informing me about. And it's from pretty reputable sources. I mean, we'll start up with this first one here on Dean Huijsen. Apparently, Chelsea are leading the race to sign Dean Huijsen. Now, I heard a lot about this in terms of what was kind of the I had a feeling that this wasn't going to lay off because there was a report that happened a few weeks ago that mentioned that Chelsea were probably interested in either Dean Huijsen or Tamori. And I think for the price, the release clause is what, like 30 mil or something like that for Dean Huijsen. It's nothing crazy, I'm pretty sure. It's like a decent amount for Dean. He's falling under that, age bracket and radar that, Chelsea like to go for, the recruitment like to go for. And something about the way that was written, it kind of gave me the inkling. I'm like, okay, yeah, they're being serious about going for Dean Huijsen, which, my opinion, this is the first time I've actually expressed this on the channel. My opinion, it is allergy season, Red Hood, so bear with me. My opinion on Dean Huijsen is I don't doubt that he's a good player, and I think he is a good player. My only problem is I don't like that we still are neglecting bringing in like a proper experienced center back. That's why I'd rather go for a Gay because I don't think Mark Gay is great. He's not gonna destroy the world or anything, light the world on fire, but he's solid to decent enough that he can give you a shift, right? Yep. He'll give you some man of the match performances every now and a blue moon. He'll make a blunder every now and again. Most center backs do, really. Nothing like crazy, nothing like Disasi crazy. You know what I'm saying? But he has the experience. He has leadership, and that's something I think we really need in this team. Does Dean Huijsen give me that? Probably not. And I don't know. Let me look at this Bournemouth backline. Like, who has he played with the most in terms of in this team, and like where do they stand in terms of like experience and shit. Let me see their latest lineup. Huijsen and Zabarni. Zabarni is 22, so that's a young center back pairing. I don't know if Zabarni like their number one with Dean Huijsen?
Probably.
I feel like
that sounds about right to me.
Yeah, I feel like Zabarni's been a pretty big part of the back line there. And but what do you feel about Dean Huijsen? Is this something you like?
So if we believe what Matt Law is saying, Matt Law said that in terms of the center back hierarchy, Maresca rates Fofana more than he does Cole, which Matt Law has said, and again, I always see grain of salt. We don't know if this is the case, but he's saying that if we sign Huijsen, he would want to see Huijsen Fofana partnership as a center back, not Cole Huijsen. That's what was written in the Matt Law Telegraph article as well. So he said Huijsen could partner him in the left center back position. Yeah. Which I agree with you. Like, again, like I think that this kid is good, but I don't think he's what we need. And even, going apart from the experience, again, I come back to the same issue. If what Matt Law said is true, we are not going to give, if the plan is to have Fofana be like the premier center back, but he's constantly injured, then this kid is just going to go through a rotating door of center back partnerships, which is not healthy for his development, bro. It's just not. So unless we're going to get somebody of Fofana's profile, so he at least plays with the same profile as center back, like, you can't throw him in there and be like, all right, 1 week you're playing with Tosin, 1 week you're playing with Chalaba, 1 week you're playing with Colwell. Like, bro, it's going to fuck the kid up. Like, if we're being quite honest, like he needs a steady Eddie next to him. We don't have that right now. We don't have that. I see his talents. I think he was even good in the game against us. I think something big is that he's a goal scoring threat as well. He scored plenty of goals so far, I think, in the
that's a plus.
Back. So that's a plus, right? I just think it is difficult at the end of the day to be too excited about Dean Huijsen without seeing what happens around him.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's what I feel like we say with a lot. We can say a lot of the attack and a lot of other stuff, right? Like, it's hard to be excited for some of the wingers we're bringing in if we don't get a 9, right? Because then we know we're just going to kind of rinse and repeat what's going on. Like, I'm not against it. I don't think that this is a bad signing. I think this kid has the potential to be, a very top center back. Very good. But again, it leads us to the point of, if we don't pair him with somebody experienced, then we are banking everything to be like when like Palmer, Enzo, Caicedo, which for me is like the biggest core, are going to end up being like 25, 26. And then we have like a maybe 2 to 3 year window to maybe, try to fight for stuff. I don't know. I think you're risking a lot. We need more win now signings, more so than more young promise. But yeah, Dean Huijsen, like, I'm not against it. Yeah,
like I should have probably made this clear. I'm not against the signing either. I do think he is a good player, which I did say. I do think that the player has potential as well, but and like, what I mean by potential, he's got a high ceiling in terms of like, I feel like he can only get better from where he already is. But it's, again, like, I think a big point that you said and alluded to, and I don't understand why our recruitment team is allowing this. Look, Maresca, I get it. Like, if you rate Fofana, that's great. You can rate Fofana, that's fine. But you also, at the same time, have to come to the realization that he's not reliable. This is 3 seasons of Fofana now that we've been through. First season, he had the knee injury that he went out with a knee injury twice, I believe. No, it was once, and then the hamstring injury maybe. And then the second season under Chelsea, out in preseason for the whole season with a knee injury, with the ACL rupture and shit. Now this season, this is the season he's been the most available, But even then, he went out in December, went missing for January, February, March, came back for a little bit at the end of March, and now he's been gone for the rest of the season for the same injury that he made Maresca look bad about. Made Maresca look like a liar pretty much when he came out and said, "Yo, I'm not out." Yeah. What is he talking about? I'm not out for the rest of the season. And here you are now getting the surgery that you were probably recommended to do, that you probably should have done, and who knows, like maybe the injury wouldn't have been as bad if he had just gotten the surgery earlier. Who knows if the surgery was much more in depth now than it was before, because you know how it is. Like, you've played ball, I played ball. If you play on an injury, chances are you're going to aggravate that injury and make it worse, and get to the point where like maybe you don't even recover from it. Not to say Fofana did that, but it's just silly. It's just prideful stuff, and it's like, Fofana, like, bro, you're an idiot for doing this, bro. Like, you should have just taken the surgery. And listen, whether you stay at Chelsea or not, I don't know what the recruitment team's plan is in regards to him, because he is that player that does break the wage structure, right? It was before the new recruitment came in, before we gave him all that incentivized contract and stuff like that. Don't know if the plan is to keep him or to let go of him. I think there is a part of the Chelsea recruitment that want to just keep him because, like, yo, we paid so much on a transfer fee for him. Let's get something out of this. But bro, like, it's like you said, he's not reliable. He is very fragile. He breaks easily. And this is the same, mind you, he's been treated and bubble wrapped very much like Reece, right? Reece, on the other hand, has shown consistency and shown like, okay, I think I'm finally getting through this hurdle. The managing of minutes is doing well. So we know this manager can manage minutes.
You know that they finally, I think it came out when Fofana got injured, that they finally forced him to do the surgery. So he had no choice. It was just, he was under the same thing that Reece did, where neither wanted to get the surgery. But then Reece got injured, and pretty much they were like, yeah, bro, like, either you get surgery, we got to move you on. So he got the surgery. And I think Fofana went down, and we got the news that like that the surgery had happened. And hopefully after that surgery, they're able to manage him like they did with Reece, right? But my issue is this, right? I think we've gotten way more minutes as injury prone as we say Reece is. He's given us games this season. Yeah. And I think in the last 3 seasons of him being injury prone, this is his best season. And I feel like part of me feels like he is on his way. I think he may have gotten, like, how Dembele got over it. He was an injury prone player, and then this season he's been fine. I feel like part of me, this is probably hopium, I ain't gonna lie. I feel like part of me is, I think we're finally seeing the light at the end of the tunnel with Reece. Yes. No, I agree. And I think a big part of that has to do with the fact that we got in a whole new medical team this summer. I think people forget that. This is a whole new medical team. It's revamped. It seems like it's full of professionals. And they're trying to manage it, everybody as good as possible. The only issue for me with Fofana is, for example, I'm willing to wait for Lavia because, we paid the price, whatever, but he's on like nothing wages, bro. He's on like 40K a week. Like that is not going to impact in terms of what players we can bring in. But Fofana, he is one of the higher paid players. Not only that, we don't have a like-for-like replacement in our center back depth. We just don't. And so when he is injured and he's not playing for us, not only are we paying wages for a player who is injured and higher wages than even like Caicedo or Enzo, I think he's like 130 something. I think he is. Then he's more detrimental because there's no backup plan to him. That's it. If he's gone, our backline is a million times more suspect because there are times, for example, when Cucurella has to haul ass back to backtrack and defend. Whereas before you would see Cole, have the speed to go out wide and catch that defender before they can get on the ball. Whereas now we're just watching like Chalobah backtrack, and it's not working. Or Cole in the wide areas. We already know about Cole in the wide areas, man. Yeah, it doesn't need repeating. So I think for me that's a big issue for Fofana, is just the fact that I wouldn't care in the same way like last season, bro. Reece was injured, but we had Gusto playing at a top level. If you have an adequate replacement, it's manageable, but we don't. So if Fofana doesn't get over these injuries, then he just needs to be moved on. As unfortunate as it is, because I do think he's a good defender, man. I think his recovery pace is just it's what Maresca needs in his system, bro. He just needs it. And Fofana is also way more aggressive than Cole at closing people down. Cole is really good on the ball. I'll give him that. But
yeah, have you noticed Cole's been trying to kind of low key do that role in recent games? Because like there've been games where I'm seeing Cole like, yo, why are you outside the 18-yard box right now and not your 18-yard box, their 18-yard box? Like he's been like really pushing high up the pitch. I think we saw it like tit for tat. I think it was Ipswich where he was just like, bro, this guy is like, obviously they're playing a low block, you probably get away with it, but like I think Brentford, he was doing it. Like he's almost trying to fulfill that Fofana role. But I'm glad you said that, because like Fofana is the profile of defender that we lack in this team. Like maybe Chalobah gives you that, but we know how sus Chalobah is. Like, and we already discussed it earlier too. Like it was brought up. Disasi, you said Disasi and Chalobah were the ones that
they're 1
likely?
and 2 on the chopping block. Yeah, they're 1 and 2 on the chopping block for the summer.
And no one on here should be surprised by that, by the way. We were trying to get rid of Chalobah last season. We were desperate to get a center back. We didn't want to spend the money, so we recalled him. Like, that's the only reason he's back in the team, let's be honest.
Yep.
But yeah, like, you're right. Like, we don't have a profile like Fofana. And again, I think Fofana is a great defender. You said it, like, as well. Like, I think he's great when he's fit. And I hate to do this again because we did this for Reese. Like, oh, when fit. It's like, unlike with, you mentioned another center back earlier. I'm trying to remember who it was. Damn.
Chelsea or otherwise?
Oh, no, it wasn't even center back. With Lavia. With Lavia, it's like a different conversation because with Lavia, there's been a history with Lavia, right? Like I can look back to before Chelsea where he played X amount of minutes, a high amount of minutes, and didn't have an injury issue. Like he has shown me that he can be fit, right? Whereas Fofana, even at Leicester, bro, constant injuries. Like this has been a kid who's had an injury-riddled season. And I think when we did buy him at Chelsea, we were all kind of hopeful that, you know, okay, maybe he can stay fit enough to give us like a good amount, like 50 or 75% of the season, good performances, you know? But it just didn't work that way. And I agree with everything you're saying, man. It's just, it's unfortunate. I personally would move on for Fofana this season. I think the injuries are way too much. Just, you know, cut your losses, see what you can get for him. I'm sure there's...
we can because he's injured, so he can't pass any medical.
Fuck.
We can't move him on. So that's like the bigger issue, I think, for me. Like, it's going to be a thing where next season, after you've had the surgery, similar to Reese, right? How many minutes are you going to be able to give us? If you're not, you're getting moved on. It's pretty much that simple.
Yeah. No. I agree. I think it's very possible he comes back towards the tail end of the Club World Cup. And then after the Club World Cup competition, we can, you know, go from there and potentially... Because the thing is, you have to be fit enough just to pass a medical. You can be injured. But if you're fit enough to pass a medical,
yeah. But coming off that type of surgery for the hammy and stuff, like
yeah, probably not.
Yeah, probably
it's deep. Yeah, I guess we're kind of just stuck with him for another season. Who knows? Maybe he actually does stay fit. I'm not holding my breath for that one. I'll be so real. But in terms of Dean Huijsen, though, going back to him, I think there is a good player there. If we were to get an experienced center back, someone that I can actually hold the mantle with him, then I'm all for it.
Not Tosin, by the way, because we need
not
like
Tosin.
A higher level.
Yeah, not Tosin. I think I was kind of fed a bit of a dream with Tosin. I thought, you know, maybe at Fulham you got experience, but you're surrounded with other players that aren't as good. You know, I think last year, who was his center back partnership? I think it was the American. It wasn't Zimmerman. Who was the other one? Ream. It was like Ream and Tosin. Like I think Ream was still a center back at Fulham last season. It's like not a good partner. Like he's not a great center back. Like so, I figured maybe he comes to Chelsea, maybe surrounded around better quality. He's probably a better player, but and on a free as well. But no, he's not that guy. He's not that guy.
He's good squad depth. I think he's better squad. He would be better squad depth than like Disasi or Chalobah. But
what if next season, let's just say Fofana's not ready, would you be opposed to like Reece James center back and Dean Huijsen.
Nah, we can't do that, bro.
Because Reece as center back is not bad.
Yeah, but bro, Reece ain't tall, bro. That's my issue.
He's physical though.
Yeah, but bro, I'm telling you right now, we need the height.
I mean, are you talking about defensively? We need the height or
Defensively? Yeah, defensively, because our midfield is already short as hell, bro. We have no height in the midfield. We can't afford to get shorter center backs. We just don't have that. We don't have that luxury, bro. Because Cucurella is already short. The midfield is short. Reece is not tall either. So
we got short kings in the team, bro.
That's what I'm telling you. Like we can't afford. We cannot afford short center backs. That like that's where we need the aerial, the people who can win aerial battles. Like
our center backs can win aerial battles though. We haven't conceded that many goals from set pieces this season.
No, that's what I'm saying. I agree, but look, Chalobah is tall, bro. Chalobah is tall. Tosin is tall. West is tall, and so is Cole.
You think West is tall? West is probably like 6'1", I think. Which is tall. Like, don't get me wrong, but
let me see. He's a 190.
Is that tall for a football player?
He's 6'2". He's 6'2". Yeah, 6'2" is tall.
6'1", 6'2". Okay, I guess so. I mean, the problem is with our center backs is that they can reach aerial balls, but they aren't good at attacking them.
No, correct. Actually, how tall is Dean Huijsen? That's a great question, as a matter of fact, bro.
I feel like this man's probably like 5'11", if I had to take a wild guess.
Let me see this. He's 195, so he's even taller than Fofana. Like he's like 6'4", probably.
Damn.
Let me see this. 195. Hold up. 195. He's 6'4". He's 6'3". He's 6'3". So yeah, that's what I'm telling you. Like we cannot afford to get shorter center backs. You just can't, because we compromise on height elsewhere. That's why, for example, we don't play long, because we do not have the height in the midfield to win those aerial battles. So I'm saying we learned the lesson. You know, I did not know he was that tall. By the way, yeah, that brother's tall.
He's tall.
But for me personally, we need to look at and Trevor's 6'4". So I'm saying like we need the height in center back position, because we have it nowhere else in the team. Because Jackson, I think, is tall, but that brother he has no hops. He has no hops, bro.
Bro, the amount of crosses that came in, and he's just like, just watching it, like, bro, you can't even jump for it, nothing. Like, oh man, like, no, we're not talking about Jackson, but like, fuck.
No, we're not. But yeah, but for me, that's what I'm saying. Like, we unfortunately, I don't think we're ever gonna really see Reece center back, just because of the fact that we don't have enough height in the team elsewhere too. And I don't know if you remember, that was a thing where, like, I think last season Pochettino at some point said that Pochettino was worried about the height in the team, and he saw it as an issue.
Yeah, I do remember that. That's why he brought back Cassidy and then never played him.
Yeah, which again, like, you know, screw Poch. But
I am not a clown.
Yeah, 100%. I do agree with the assertion though. Like we are short in the team, but that just means we have to have really tall center backs, because they're going to be that's also an issue though. Like if we had 2 tall center backs and a good aerial striker, then we would at least have 3 threats in the box whenever we took any type of free kick or corner. But we don't have that. So
yeah, I mean, how would you feel if would you feel like it would be enough squad depth or center back depth? I personally don't. I feel like we need to bring another one. If we were to get Huijsen and Margay.
Yeah, probably. I think that'll be more than enough, because then we'll still have Tosin, right? Disasi Chalobah gone. Viega can play center back as well, because he's playing that right now at Juventus. So if we don't sell him and he stays in the squad, that's another potential center back as well. So I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I don't care. I think if he gets us signings that we need in the summer, and we're gonna get a good price from him, then it is what it is. Like, unfortunately, I'm not heartbroken about it.
I do feel like, I mean, listen, if he can do a shift at center back, then so be it. I think he's got the height for it. But
he's like 6 foot, I think. Yeah, but how much did we buy him for? That's what
he's not doing bad at Italy, from what I can tell. I haven't watched that many games closely, but from the little I have watched, because I'll watch.
Says he's played. He says he's played 8 matches, has a rating of 7.14. So it seems like he's not doing bad.
Yeah, he's been okay for them, but yeah, I mean, again, that's another one that if he comes to the Premier League, is the physicality going to be too much for him, and how is he going to handle it? Listen, I think Renato Vega's a good player. Don't get me wrong. And I do think he got a little bit hard done by with Maresca, and even when there's games where, like, Liverpool is the first example of this. Like, you got Cucurella was suspended for it, so rather than playing Vega at left back, you played Malagusto. Like, it was just like one of those, like, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this?
Yeah.
Like, this doesn't work. We've tried this earlier already. And I think that was like kind of the beginning of the end for how Vega felt about, staying at Chelsea for the season. So
Yep.
I do think there's a good player there that was got a little hard done by for minutes, but, he could still. And honestly, he was an aerial threat. He scored some goals for us.
Did he? I don't think he did.
Yeah, he scored some goals for us in UCL, bro. In conference.
Oh, in Europa League, yeah, he did.
Yeah. So he did score some goals for us. So he's got aerial threat in terms of that. But who knows? I hope. I mean, I could care less. But in terms of for the future, for the sake of the club and the center back positions, I do hope he wants to stay next season, and I do hope that he can help us out. But enough with the center backs. Let's actually bring up the other thing that was brought up for Sky Sports. And I thought this was interesting too, because we've probably seen so many striker lists multiple times throughout the course of the season. But this is from a pretty reliable source, and now it's been a bit updated. So we already know about Delap, Osimhen, and Sesko. But one that's been brought up now is Jonathan David, and this one, which I've heard a bit about him. It was kind of like I was wondering why people were even talking about him on Twitter for Chelsea fans, because no like official link was really out there in terms of for Hugo Ekitike. But yeah, do you think this is one big like charade that we're still going for Delap, or do you actually think there's a proper chance we go for any of these guys?
So the news came out. I'm not sure who exactly. Let's see if I could find the tweet.
Sure.
But a tweet came out today that pretty much said that let me see if I can find it. That United are actually.
Oh, United are no longer in the race for Osimhen.
Yeah, it looks like Osimhen's like
completely
dead. Yeah, so because the Osimhen link is dead, I think they're all in on Delap. That's what it looks like to me. Like they're probably all on Delap, and I think from what the news that came out maybe a couple of days ago, saying that Delap is waiting to see who's in Europe, aka I think who gets UCL football, right? So I think if United get UCL football, he'll want to go there, and if they fail to get UCL football, he'll go to us. So I think that's definitely hanging in the balance. So I think Osimhen is probably. I think the list probably looks like this. I'm low key. Like it might be in this order for what they're looking at. But for me, like worst case scenario would be Sesko though. I'll always say that.
You in the worst case scenario you take Sesko? I'm not a fan of him. I mean, he's got a good striking technique, but man, that's all he is, bro. Yeah, exactly. He's just got good striking technique, and it's like, okay, can you get goals though? You can have all the good striking technique you want, but if you ain't getting me goals, bro, what do I care about your striking technique? Yeah, it's nice to look at, but like, you know what else is nice to look at? First in the Premier League. That's also nice to look at. Oh, I thought I had it, man. Fuck, I guess I didn't have it. Oh well, it's around. I saw it was David Ornstein who tweeted it that Victor Osimhen is not on the agenda at United. Yeah, that's what the exact quote was. They can take that L then. There you go. I'll play this for them.
Yeah, they could hold that. But yeah, for me, I think it comes down to, I think a lot of what in terms of especially for the striker position, it comes down to whether or not we get UCL football. Because I think if we get UCL football, we can have our pick in terms of who we want to lap. We'll get him. Something that worries me is if we don't get it, then I think we're scrambling. And I think that's when you start seeing names like Jonathan David being added in there when it was before. I think we also are waiting to see what happens with Osimhen, right? Like we want to see, like, listen, if your back's against the wall and Saudi's your only offer on the table and you don't want to go, take our terms. We'll be like the escape parachute.
One thing I will say, because I've had a lot of criticism about the directors in terms of their negotiating tactics and all this shit. One thing I will say, they're fucking persistent. Like, they do try their damnedest to get their number one target. As long it's like it's like a dude coming out of high school learning what the hell consent is. Like that's our directors. Like, he doesn't understand no until it actually like no. You could hint at it, you could say this and that, but our directors will still try. And until they say like no, I'm not interested, then they'll back off. So with these guys,
like, look, I have a boyfriend, I don't see him. Okay, bro.
Yo, it's like that. Like,
it's exactly like that. Like, until you're with another club, bro, there's a chance.
Yeah. If you're seeing someone, it's like, yeah, but like, ever thought about cheating? Like that type of shit. Like, it's like, it's no, dude. But I mean, that's how we got like Lavia, right? Like, Lavia was like a 2-window or 2-year long thing. We were linked to them. We were linked to Lavia, I think, from January when they came in, and then we wrapped it up in the summer. Same thing with Caicedo. Caicedo was a January thing. We were talking. We wrapped it up in the summer. Osimhen, I think Osimhen started even in that January. We tried to wrap it up this past summer, and it just didn't work out. And I think a big part of it was the whole agent fiasco. I think the agent was trying to get his cut and making it very difficult to get the player signed. But there was even that one journalist that broke out everything and got a big bump on his social media as a result. That guy even said that apparently someone in the Chelsea camp told him, we're going to come back for you. Like, like, don't give up hope, Anakin. We'll come back for you. Like, some type of shit. Yeah. And so I do think Osimhen is still very much a possibility. I don't think he wants to stay at Galatasaray. Let's be honest, bro. He doesn't. Yeah. That was like a desperate, like, yo, I need to play for a club. Like, Napoli hate me. I didn't show up to any of the preseason. I've kind of been outcasted. I need to play for a club. And
yeah, his owner screwed him. His manager screwed him.
Yeah. And it ended up being like the same thing too. It ended up being a loan, which is what we wanted. So it was a bad look, but if you look into the details of it and you read in between the lines, it was all his manager just kind of fucking him over and making things very difficult. He got fired ever since. Like, yep. he put I don't think it ruined his career.
Immediately after that. He got fired immediately after that.
Yeah, like literally the week of, if not the day after. The day
after, I think the news came out. Mm-hmm. He did it. He basically negotiated himself with Galatasaray. I think it was like him and his dad or something.
Yep, pretty much. And so even like when you look at the contract details and what happened, like there was even the clause in there that he could potentially get sold in January to not finish. Yep. Like, come on now. Like that's a big sign that he was still looking for a move. He doesn't want to stay there. He's not looking at it for a permanent. But I think out of respect and out of courtesy for the fact that, like, okay, you guys saved me from having to take a whole ass year off of my career. I'll respect that. I'll stay, and I'll see if we'll part ways at the end of the season. But Osimhen's like my first choice. I think you're right. It does very much depend if we get UCL football, just because of the wages. Once we get UCL football, we can afford wages like Osimhen's asking for, because everyone else is going to have higher wages too. But in terms of like the other strikers, I do think if Osimhen doesn't work out, whether or not we get UCL football, I think Delap is still on the table. Like, I don't think that depends on UCL or not. I think it depends on Osimhen. That's my tinfoil hat. I don't know if you agree. Same thing with Jonathan David, honestly. Jonathan David might be a last resort, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that probably is like the emergency panic button, because they realized they fucked up in the summer. They're not willing to do it again.
No, for sure. How do you feel about Ekitike? Like, I don't know much about Ekitike. I know he's having a solid season. People are looking at him, but yeah,
I've just heard a lot of positive stuff from Strasbourg Steve. So that's like, we could see a little approval. But other than that, I personally haven't done much research into it. Like, I stopped watching Eintracht Frankfurt after Pacho left, because I was only watching their games to see how William Pacho was doing. Once he left, I stopped following them. But he seemed like he seemed good. But apparently, like this season, he's having a very, very good season for them. So yeah, he has 14 goals, 5 assists. So there you go.
What about I'll ask you this because this name isn't on the list, but it was another one that was like touted. Was the oh my god, I can't remember his name. He's a striker at no, not Gyökeres. The striker over at Strasbourg. I'm gonna pull him up right now. Hold up. The striker, his name is Omega.
Oh, Omega, yeah. I don't know. I also feel like that's last resort, and I don't think that they're going to do that. But we'll see. I mean, I don't think so. That for me is really last resort. It also depends on, like, again, I think if we both get UCL football, I don't know what the rules and regulations are in terms of what happens with being able to trade players between our squads. But I guess we'll figure it out.
From what I've read, apparently we can sell Strasbourg to like a trusted owner for the season or something, but we won't be able to exchange
like a third
players.
party.
Yeah, like a third party, but we won't be able to exchange players. But it'll allow us to both be in the competition if that's the case.
Yeah, got you.
Which, as of right now, let me actually look at Strasbourg. Where are they at? Are they in Champions League spots? Because they drew.
Yeah,
I guess they drew against Monaco.
No, I mean they're all fighting for it. They're all within a couple points of each other. I think for Strasbourg right now is in 7th with 51 points, but 7th, 6th, and 5th are all tied with 51 points. 4th is 53 and 3rd is only 54. So it's like a couple, like a 1 to 2 game swing, and you're like in 3rd.
Yeah, it's very possible for them to get UCL. Let me look at their next match. So yeah, they were. I mean, PSG is going to be a tough one because that's coming up in 2 weeks. I would expect them to beat Saint Etienne. They needed to beat Nice and Monaco in order to go up in the table, and they got a draw, which isn't that great, but hey, it is what it is. In terms of that striker position, though, if we were to get a Liam Delap, are you satisfied with that? Do you think that's enough in terms of? Okay.
No, that's not enough, bro. We need a Victor Osimhen. We need an aerial threat, and I think I saw a thing that said I think Enzo Fernandez has more headed goals than Liam Delap this season. So,
oh wow, but like, do you think it's necessarily like an aerial threat thing? Because I feel like I listen right now. My number one choice of all these options obviously isn't Osimhen, but if one of the things that worries me about Osimhen is that he won't give us, and this is gonna sound so stupid because whatever, he's not gonna give us the same chance creation or link up play or threat. Well, not threat in the box. I should say just link up play and chance creation that, let's just say, Nicholas Jackson gives us.
No,
or even dribbling ability for that.
I agree, but I don't think that matters for the vast majority of teams that we're going to be facing in the Prem. And I think that's, for me, the bigger issue. Bro, when we're facing low blocks, like Nicholas Jackson has done little to nothing to help us try to beat low blocks.
That is true.
We have seen Cucurella with his ability to just read a cross be more effective against low blocks than Nicholas Jackson. So for me personally, I just think that we have to accept that Victor Osimhen, we're going to be sacrificing some things in terms of the build-up play. However, we shouldn't, if the system is working as it has been currently, he would have bagged a ton of goals with the amount of crosses that we're putting in, with the amount of chances that Jackson has just straight up missed in the box from just not shooting or a poor control.
Or all those Pedro Neto crosses even. Like, how many times do we see that far post cross? And it's just like, why aren't we doing
Nobody's there to poke it in, bro.
Nobody's there
to poke it in, nothing. Yeah. No, I agree completely. That's what I'm saying. I think I agree with you. Like, I don't disagree with you in the fact that we lose out on certain aspects. And then that's not Victor Osimhen is like a bum in terms of his link up play, et cetera, et cetera. But that's not, his strongest point. His strongest point is, his ability to duel in the box, whether it be in
find
the
the
air
right
or on the ground.
spaces. Yeah.
Exactly.
And actually get goals and stuff, which, we do desperately need. There's no doubt about it. I feel like one thing I got to say, because we could probably move on and talk about Maresca next season, right? I do feel like his job is safe for this season. I think part of it is because these owners are going to want to save face. It would look really bad. I don't think they care, but I just think I think they understand that if they keep upsetting this fan base, it will get to a point where it will affect their pockets. Because I don't think this fan base is that delusional enough to keep buying into this whole fiasco, keep buying tickets, keep buying kits and stuff. I think some of these fans, I mean, for better or for worse, probably for better, some of these fans are jumping ship, which honestly, like, that's fine. I'm okay. Like, just like Real Madrid fans, like, yo, you're not a Real Madrid fan all of a sudden? Cool. That's fine. That's fine. Go. That's fine. Like, obviously, the true fans are going to stick around no matter what, through thick and thin. But in terms of, like, saving face in Maresca, like, I just, with the amount of money they gave him, right? Oh, it's probably not that much money, but the length of contract, right? I do think he, no matter what happens this season, even if he loses on Conference League, like, that's how much they're banking
I
on
would
it.
disagree. I think that's the only possible thing that could potentially see him out of the job is losing Champions League qualification and losing the Conference League. Because there's a world, right, as much as we don't want to admit it, that we could end up in a Conference League spot again.
Yeah. And
if that happens and we lose the Conference League, we're not even playing Europa. We're playing Conference again. And then I could see him being sacked. And I would say rightfully so. I would say rightfully because I'd rather lose.
You know, I agree.
I'd rather lose out on the UCL spot and win the Conference League. Because I've already said this. Like, there is, you can always, as much as it sucks, you can qualify next year for the Champions League. There is no redoing a final. You lost the Conference League final as Chelsea Football Club.
I'd have the same exact energy if this was Pochettino. Like, dead ass. Like,
exactly.
You have no excuses for not being able to win this competition. This whole entire competition, we have cruised. We have seen, like, the likes of Jadon Sancho making it look like, you know, the U21s versus, like, the seniors. Like, it's insane, just the difference in level of competition. Like, we don't belong in this competition. It's embarrassing to even be talking about it. But and not to sound like conceited or anything, but, like, let's be real. Like, this is Chelsea. You look at the amount spent on the contracts and some of the players that are coming in, the quality. Like, you look at the players, you know there's good quality there. We have a World Cup winner. Why is a World Cup winner playing in Conference League? You know, this guy should be in Champions League.
And this is what I've said, by the way. I've told people, because people are like, yo, Betis might have some this. I'm like, bro, I don't think the Conference League has seen Enzo Caicedo play together yet in that midfield.
No, I don't think
like, actually. I don't think we even see both of them at the same time in the Conference League.
Final, like, you
that's
know,
what I'm saying. It's like,
yeah, go ahead.
Like, as much as people want to say, like, oh, Betis are good going forward, etc., like, bro, Betis have had questionable results in the Conference League. They've had to go through, I think, penalties on occasion. They have shipped, I think, 3 or 4 goals in some matches. You know, these guys are not, and again, they are getting these opportunities on, you know, scoring 1 or 2 goals on like worse defenses. And that's what me saying that our defense isn't amazing. But guys, we are looking currently at, was it like 14th and 16th in the Premier League in semifinals of Europa? Like, I agree with you guys that, you know, I'm not completely discounting Betis, but I think our team is more than enough to win that competition. And I'm just saying, like, I think regardless of who goes out there, we should win it, right? But if Maresca can't motivate them enough, and, like, the team goes out there in the final, we look dead in the water, we look uninterested, and we're still not taking that seriously, then I am going to look at the manager. Because, bro, it's a final. It is, at the end of the day, it is your job to get the players motivated and in the right mind space. Yeah, exactly. It's a trophy. It's completing the set. That's the cope that we've gone with all season. So we need to do it. We need to get it done.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I agree 100%. The reason I think that his job is safe no matter what, it's just simply because there's too many parallels between what he's saying, the way he's acting, with how Pochettino was acting. And I think the biggest giveaway on that was Pochettino was saying the same thing. Oh, they never told me Champions League. They never told me this and that, top 4 and all this and that. And I mean, he also said this, but I mean, we'll move on.
I am not a clown.
However, with that, we're hearing the same thing from Maresca. And this guy, as far as I'm aware, he's been pretty honest and just flat out say the truth how it is, even if it's backfired on him. Yeah, he's told a lie here and there in terms of like maybe over exaggerated truth. I think when he mentioned the small injury, actually, has he really told a bold-faced lie? I think he has. I just can't think of it off the top of my head. But even then, I feel like he's been saying the same thing all season, that the goal was never top 4 or Champions League. The goal has always been to build up the squad and then challenge for the league next season or get to top 4 next season. We've all disagreed, but he's been saying this all season. So in terms of me, like, I do, part of me does think that, I mean, Potts was saying this, now I got Maresca saying this. It can't be coincident that both of these guys now were lying about it. So I do, to an extent, feel that his job is safe, even if he doesn't make Champions League, even if he doesn't win the Conference League. But I will say, if he doesn't win the Conference League, I do feel next season he's under a lot of pressure. And not only is he under a lot of pressure, if he doesn't perform as well as he performed in the beginning,
I was literally about to say that. I was literally about to say that. Like, if he doesn't have the same level of performance, and I think the biggest thing that people are going to be looking forward to in terms of whenever the schedule is released is they're going to be looking at them the big games. In that first big game, like, unfortunately, whether it is defending champion Liverpool or City or Arsenal, bro, we're good. The win is necessary. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. And also, I forgot to mention this, I think another big factor, too, as to why his job is safe is Club World Cup. Bro, the season ends, and then three weeks, Club World Cup starts.
Well, that's why for me, like, the only possible way, like, it would be a catastrophic end. Like, we end up, I think it's impossible for us to end outside of Conference League position. We would literally need to lose every game. And I think who's behind us, bro? Like,
Villa.
Who is it? Yeah, Bournemouth is at 49. We're at 57. We would legit need to lose like every single game.
Yeah, it's like the gap. We would like it's now. Remember, it was like top 10, and then the gap widened. Now it's like top 6, really, and we're in that.
Yeah, it's top 7. It's top 7. But yeah,
top 7. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, at the end of the day, it really comes down to the fact that we can't drop any lower than 7th. So the most catastrophic season, like I said, is 7th, lose the Conference League. We end up in Conference League again. That for me would be
probably
signs for them having to. Oh yeah, I mean we'd be completely cooked as a fan base.
So fed up.
But we would have to take a real look then at Maresca and say, all right, like this is a layup. Like, I wouldn't forgive Podge for this, and I can't forgive you for this, right? Like,
yeah, I agree. I 100% agree. Like, I don't care if you're inexperienced, bro. You have a good enough team to listen. You did what you did with Leicester, right? Which is a good feat. Like, it's nice that you won championship and stuff like that. You did enough in the beginning of the season to carry you throughout the rest of the season. The gap was, wide enough that you could afford to dip in form last season. Yo, this season, you're seeing you can't get away with that now. You cannot get away with that. We had a decent gap in second place when we were up there. That disappeared completely, and now we're fighting to get back into 5th. Like, I think that's one thing that he probably, from his experience at Leicester, thought he could get away with. Now he's learning, no, I have to really, like, I have to be at my A game the whole season. Like, I have to devise a plan. And I was going to ask you this. How do you feel about, Leicester fans kind of being right about him? Like, he now has to devise a way to make it so that his football is sustainable all season, not just like, because this is essentially what Leicester fans told us. Leicester fans told us he started off the season strong. We looked really good. We had a huge gap in first place. And then towards the end of the season, things started to fall off. We weren't scoring any more goals. Same exact, it's like tit for tat what they told us. And it's happening again. Like, it's kind of crazy. So next season, I'm thinking like, bro, you need to learn from this. You need to pattern up.
No, I agree. And I think that's where we started to see
real quick, I'm just going to grab a tissue. Go ahead.
Yeah. I think that's where we as a fan base have felt the struggles with Maresca, right, is in terms of what the Leicester fans were saying. We've seen similar, but again, like I knew that he was going to be inexperienced. I knew that he was going to be learning on the job, and these are things that we knew when when Maresca came in. We knew that he was going to be there was going to be gaps in his knowledge and his ability to pull from past experiences to get him through whatever's happening in the present. And I think, for example, he learned from the past, right? Like Fulham did something to him and he learned, right? And this is one of my biggest criticisms, for example, is I think a more experienced manager does not stick with Nkunku and the false nine for as long as he did. Like he really beat that dead horse. Like he forced us to suffer through that for so long.
We criticized Poch for the whole Chilwell thing. He was doing the same thing with Nkunku.
No, this is my thing though. It's like obviously we had both of our nines injured, right? So I think give Nkunku 2 games, you see that it doesn't work. A more experienced manager tries the Neto false nine thing sooner than he did, and Neto false nine actually gave us something to work with. And Nkunku was giving us nothing. That's what I'm saying. It was giving us nothing, like legitimately nothing. And that's where I agree with Leicester fans in terms of, there were things in the latter half of the season when we started facing low blocks, right? When we started having the injury issues that I think a more experienced manager would be able to navigate better. And as much as people want to shit on Arteta, for example, he lost Havertz. He put Marino in there. He started structuring the team a bit differently to cater to the fact that Marino's there. And he's been doing a shift for them, right? Obviously, they still need the out and out 9. But it's been decent enough to hold them through the tough period. And that is my issue with Maresca, is he stumbled on the wrong solution with Nkunku and the false 9 because it was the quote-unquote obvious answer. But he stuck with it for like 5, 6, 7, 8 games, bro, as we were like losing and drawing.
Stuck with it for a long time.
And it sucked. It sucked. And he learned now. Like he didn't. And again, they asked him, like, is Nkunku injured? He said no. Like I completely left him off the team sheet as a technical decision. That's a big thing. That's what I'm saying. Like he learned. He learned that. He learned about making subs early, right? And right now, unfortunately, like, bro, I'm telling you, you are not facing the quality of low block in the Premiership than you are in the Premier League. You know what I'm saying? Like in the Championship than the Premier League. You're just not. You're legitimately just not. Like first half of the season, that's what I'm saying. Wolves got absolutely destroyed and opened up because they thought we were the Chelsea of last season. That Wolves game was a wake-up call to the rest of the league. And as we kept accumulating wins, West Ham did the same thing. They tried to press us up high. Liquidated them completely in the first half, and then I can keep going and going. And then once we faced Everton, like at that point, teams were like, this Chelsea, like I think we were like second in terms of goals scored in the Prem, and they were like, we need to be careful. Like this, we need to sit back. And then every single team started being way more defensive. We started facing a ton of low blocks from almost every team that was below us, and as a manager, you have to figure a way through that. Like you can't expect that the beginning of the season, the teams are going to treat you the same way at the end of the season. Especially when we were talking about, is Chelsea in a title race? Once you start being considered for that type of stuff, the way teams treat you is going to be different. And we see it, bro. We were in poor form, bro. We were taking L after L, draw, and yet teams were still approaching us with the low block because they knew if we try to open up against them, we are cooked.
Yeah.
And that's why those are my main points. So that's the thing that Maresca is most guilty for, because people say like, oh, his system, it's doing this, it's doing that, bro. Like again, and I'll say it again, second in the Prem for chances created, only a couple behind Liverpool, first for big chances missed. Like we are bottom, only above Leicester City in terms of conversion rate. What that's telling me, and even with how bad our defenders are, with Sanchez in the back, with these bozo airs, we are still I think the 3rd or 4th best defense in all of the Prem. This to me is pointing, it's not a Maresca system issue, it's a personnel issue. However, there are things that I guess that I pointed out before, and I'm sure people can point out more. For example, I think he tried Gusto in the Gusto inverting for about like 3 to 4 games. Bro, that wasn't necessarily. That was dead food, man. Like you only needed Gusto the 2 games. We didn't need to see. We didn't need to see the 4 or 5. We did not need to see the 4 or 5. Like if he was able to score, there'd be a different conversation, right? Because that was pissing us off, is he was getting these golden dime chances on that right-hand side, in that like half space on the right-hand side, and just airing it every time.
He wasn't making the passes. He was passing to the opposition player. It was infuriating.
It was bad. Exactly what I'm saying. A better manager recognizes that in 1 or 2 games. That's it. But Maresca stuck by it for like 5, 6. Same thing with Nkunku. He went 7, 8, 9 games. Like it's too much. And at that point, that's what I'm saying. That's where the inexperience like shone through. Like nothing else, man.
It always bothers me too because I know he goes back and he watches the games. Like we know very clearly he's like a student of the game. Like he likes to be a tactician. Yeah. Everyone has said it. He's like whenever they ask him like, what do you think of Maresca? Tactician. They always say that. Like this guy goes back and studies the film and looks into it. Like it's either us fans know more than you, or you're just stubborn as shit. And I like to believe it's the latter. Like he is just stubborn, wants to force the round peg into a square hole until it gets to a point where like this is starting to really hurt me now. And I think it got to that point with Nkunku. We're like, bro, Nkunku's inability to play is actually starting to hurt me. We created these many chances, this and that, and Nkunku wasn't there for anything. Like he didn't help in any of that. Like at some point the buck needs to stop. Like and I think he finally hit that point, but like, bro, you should have been done this. Like, it's one of those cases, like, as a manager, and like, as good as I think the management has been this season. Well, actually, it's been 50-50, I'll say. I think managing minutes and managing injuries, he's been fantastic at. You know, we look at Fofana, like I was mentioning earlier. We look at Fofana. I think Fofana is a clear case of this player is just an injury-prone player. You know? I do feel like you see that same treatment, that same managing of minutes for Reece, and it's not the same. So that tells me Fofana is the outlier here. But in terms of managing minutes and rotations, it's like, bro, you need to set an example. When this player doesn't perform, he needs to be hooked. He needs to be taken off the field. And he has done that. But like, then you look back at the quotes like, oh, if this player doesn't follow my ideas, then he doesn't play. Or even with the whole Jurgensen thing, I told Jurgensen if he goes long, the next game I hook him. And then you see Sanchez going long when he's pressured by the fans, and he still gets to play. It's just like
and then Sanchez gets yelled at by Caicedo.
And that's the lie that I was trying to think of, like with Maresca. Like you say these things, and then when it does happen, you don't fulfill on your promise.
Yeah. You don't stand on business.
Yeah, you don't stand on business, which you know how I feel about standing on business, bro. These Chelsea fans hear it all the time. So it's just like, it's infuriating because had you done it sooner, maybe that gets these other players that step up. You see how Tariq George and Acheampong, because they've been so deprived of minutes, when they do get it, bro, they look like they're like, yo, I'm starving to impress the manager. I need to show him you can't drop me. You know what I mean? Like, these players give us everything. That's why, shout out Javon, shout out Robert, in the Sideline View episode we just recorded. I said, yo, drop Jackson and start Tariq George. They low-key laughed at me, and I was like, yo, honestly, Tariq George is going to give me effort. He's going to give me a press. He's looking like he's trying. And not to say that, Jackson isn't trying. I think he is. He's just going through a really bad patch of form, and after a while, it gets to your head. But, like, yo, give him a reason to, like, Tariq George took my spot. I need to take it back. Give him a reason to, like, do that off the bench. I said the same thing about Mason Mount last season, bro. Or not last season, but the season
before last. Yeah. I for me personally, I think with that, it's this. I think Jackson's definitely starting the Everton game, and for me, I think it's a bit difficult because with young players, we are in the midst of a series of 5 pretty much must-win games. Do we want to throw a youth player there? And it's unfortunate because, again, it's one thing where Jackson is older. He's had multiple seasons of shit being thrown at him by the fans. Yeah. But for a young player, bro, like, to see your own fans booing you and shit because you missed a big chance, like, it's a bit different. Like, that's where you have to, with a youth player, you have to be a bit more careful.
With Tariq George, though, like, you don't think there's, like, a good portion of the fan base that are just dying to see this player play and support him no matter what, kind of? No,
I do. I agree. But I think that it just goes to a certain extent. Like, when the emotions are high, when there's things on the line, their anger is going to be has to be pointed at somebody. And if you're the one missing the big chance, it's going to go to you. For me, I think that Tyreek did his job in terms of waking Jackson the fuck up, because when the young kid comes on and in 5 minutes scores the goal that propels the team to the draw while you're sitting on the bench and watching, it's your turn to respond against Everton. If you don't, then I agree with 100%. You, man. Start Tyreek. Fuck it, man. And I think also the report came out today as well about Mark Yu.
Oh yeah, what's good with Mark Yu, bro? Is he alive?
Yeah, so he said, so he said, this is from Simon Johnson. He said, Chelsea hope to have Mark Yu back in May. They are being extremely careful. Chelsea are focused on building strength in his leg muscles and do not want a repeat injury in the leg abductor. So again, it's the whole thing where it's like we want to be extra careful. This medical team, we know that they always err on the side of caution, and so that's what they're saying. We're gonna get him back in May, right? So it'll be for that last stretch of games.
Okay.
We might even see him in the Conference League.
Yeah,
we might even see him in terms of the Conference League games, right? But we shall see. We shall see.
Yeah.
But for him, I'm excited because this is the thing that sucks is I think he was hitting a good vein of form when he got injured. It was just so unfortunate.
Yeah, and the injury was a really odd one too. It was just weird positioning. He
overstretched.
did the split. Yeah, he overstretched. He did the split and sucks. It's just the timing of that happening too was horrible. Because if he didn't get injured, guarantee you this batch of form that we just went through wouldn't be nearly as bad. Maybe
if he didn't get injured, I think we would be right now between we would probably be where Forest is with like around, I would say 60 points. Like we would have turned one of those draws into a win and maybe a loss into a draw. Like I think that's the effect that he would have had instead of having a Kuku in the false line. Because again, like I'm sure when we look back at the season, we're going to see like the games we had in Kuku false nine. We were playing with 10 men.
No, he was essentially a false nine, like fake as fuck.
But he wasn't even there. Yeah, that's the thing. There wasn't the link up. There wasn't any testing center backs. Nothing at all. So
yeah,
it is what it is. But again, glad to see him back. I think again that's another issue when we look at the terms of at Maresca. What people criticize Maresca for, I would argue, is you have to choose one or the other. If you're gonna have an inexperienced manager, you have to give them an experienced team. Yeah. But when you have both, and then you don't give him at least options, this is what we get to. Like when we look at the way Felix is doing at Milan, bro, and they don't even want him there anymore, man. Like they don't even care about him. Like do then we start blaming Maresca for not playing him more, or maybe Maresca saw what apparently every single coach that has coached Felix saw, that he
100 is
just he's a luxury player plus. Like the team needs to be absolutely perfect and centered around him for him to work. So there's that. I look at the recruitment because I think if you had given him better options, it would have aided him, even though he is inexperienced. It's like one of those things where it's like, it's one thing saying my starting striker is not there, so I can play my backup striker. It's a complete other thing saying both of my starting strikers are out, right? My 10 is in bad form and I do not have a backup 10. And he's in with all these injuries as an inexperienced manager without any depth. And as much as, you want to look at his Leicester City run, I would say he probably has more blame in the poor Leicester City run at the end of the season, even though they might have had injuries. Because Leicester City, their depth was probably better than like 75% of the teams in the championship anyways.
Championship, yeah, for sure.
So with the amount of money that they
team
spent.
Essentially that got demoted. He was playing with a Premier League team. Like,
that's what I'm saying. So for me personally, like I just look at it as Maresca has his faults, but the sporting directors let him down with the depth. And again, now that we're coming to the tail end of the season, I think we can agree that this past summer window was maybe one of the worst and most detrimental that we have had under this ownership, I would argue.
Yeah. I think so. I think the best signing was probably Neto, and Neto's not been that great. Don't get me wrong.
That's what I'm saying.
Good,
I think as a player, as a piece in a team, he's good. But with the way we don't have anybody on the end of his crosses, we're just using him in a system where his best attributes just aren't able to shine.
If we had actually closed the deal on
Samu,
this is what I mean. The negotiations at this club stink. The negotiating at this club
that's the thing though. Like these sporting directors, they don't have balls. They don't have huevos. So what happens is Jorge Mendes is able to twist their balls, and Jorge Mendes is like, listen, I can get you Felix, give me this. You give me. And again, it's not a coincidence that under this ownership we have had, I think, the most by far in terms of agent fees paid out. Because these sporting directors, like I said, they don't have balls, man. So they get their chains snatched by any old player, man.
I'm glad you mentioned that because how many players have come out and how many agents have come out after they negotiated with Chelsea and said, yeah, like these guys didn't seem like they gave a fuck. They were talking to my player. Also, Elise was a big one with this, right? They were talking to my player, but at the same time they were talking to Esteval and talking all this. Like, yo, do you want to get the deal done or not? Like, it's like, bro, and look at how long, yo, Osimhen went down to the wire. It's like, yo, why couldn't we get that done sooner? Why couldn't we? I'm sure there was other factors, right? But like, why can't we just get that across the line? If we had gotten that across the line, then that window changes completely because you're getting creators and playmakers for someone that can actually score those chances.
By all accounts as well, the Neto deal was Igbali. We know that Igbali and Todd Bowley had everything to do with Enzo, with getting Caicedo as well, which also went down to the wire. It just seems to me like, yeah, these sporting directors, they are not closers. You can say that, yeah, they're relentless in terms of they don't give up on a whole potential, and they always want to leave the door open, but they're not closers, man. They do have no idea how to close a deal. And they are, like I said, naive, man. Like, we paid
home, bro.
60 M's on agent fees is insane. That's an entire quality player that we could have had. 60 M's on agent fees, man. That's crazy. It's like, bro. It's like we took her out. You feel me? We took her out to fucking Nobu, and then we got no play, bro. Like, it's just crazy.
But she's down for a second date and still doesn't put out. It's just like,
that's
bro,
what I'm saying.
When are you
60 M's in agent fees? We're 60 M's in agent fees and no play.
It's crazy, dude.
And by the way, with the whole, I think Yildiz, I think he's also Mendes client. So once again, bro, this brother is literally getting generational wealth off his agent fees off of us. And it's like, at some point, that's what I'm saying. At some point, the sporting directors, like, these guys are just clowns, man. They're just clowns, and they 100%. Are a detriment to our club, not only in the squad building, but the way that they have like good opportunities pass by them. Because I think better sporting directors would be, for example, the whole thing. Like, again, it's crazy how everything kind of goes one after another. Like, they were not able to convince Gallagher to go to Villa, so we miss out on Duran, right? And then they fuck up the Samu deal, because Jorge Mendes is like, hey, you know, I if you're looking for somebody, Felix is right here. So they blow up out of nowhere, right? Because how is he able to not pass a medical at Chelsea, but then he passes one, you know,
for the Olympics?
No, not even that. It was Benfica. That's where he went, or is it Sporting?
Porto.
He went Porto. There you go. He went to Porto. So how did he pass the Porto medical but fail ours, right? And he's not missed pretty much any time for Porto. So again, they purposely blew up the trade. Because Jorge Mendes is like, hey, you know, deal with me, and I'll give you access to my other clients in the future. Which I think that's literally what it was. We get Felix in, which means we don't, and that just keeps, you know, it keeps going again and again and again with all the other poor squad decisions that we didn't fill in the positions that we needed. And at the end of the day, no, I agree. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying Mendes is purely on the directors. Like, Iqbali, obviously, like, that's the type of connections that they feel like they want to have. But I look at the sporting directors, because even if the owners say one thing, if you as a sporting director sit down, right, and you say, all right, Mendes, we'll talk with your clients, but we're not paying you like an X amount of agent fees. You feel me? We're not doing this shit.
It's crazy. That's why I think this summer for me, I already don't want the directors, but in terms of the direction of the club, I think this summer for me is make or break. I think I'm looking at Santos, and I'm looking at that striker position, and I'm looking at that goalkeeper position, and I'm looking at those three positions very closely. Yes, center back position and all that too. Like, don't get me wrong, but like, I do feel like, and I don't want to downplay it. It is a big position we have to solidify, but I do feel like next season we can probably get away with delaying a center back acquisition. I still think they will get a center back, don't get me wrong, but like, the main culprits for this season not going as well as it was are strikers, the goalkeeper, and it's a center back. But obviously it's really important that we have midfield depth as well, because without Alavi, I think that threw so many things to the wayside. If we had a Lavia, maybe our defensive numbers improved. We saw how Tuchel turned a really jammy and really ineffective defense into like a solid powerhouse in the Champions League. And that was because of the shape. And sometimes all it takes is a good shape and you can get the best out of any center back, right? So I think you could get away with it tactically. And and one last thing I'll say on this before we close it out is that Maresca next season, bro, you need to come up with a plan B. Like, you need to have a plan B. Because one thing that Scott said in the last show that I think was, like, it resonated with me, and I was like, you know what, you're right, is that, bro, there were times, like, you look at that Newcastle goal, the Palmer to Neto to Jackson, and shit like that. Like, when we are on a break, we are not as attacking as we once were in the beginning. And I think that's because there was a little bit of like, this is how Pochettino played, like counter-attacking football, this and that. But Maresca wants us to keep possession and like tactically like almost pass the ball into the net, which is, I think, ridiculous. Maybe might be wrong when I say that. I think it might be exaggerating, but it's like, bro, he doesn't have a plan B. And it annoys me because I think the big wake-up call for me with that was the Ipswich game. Once you went 1-0 down, Ipswich and McKenna already knew, all right, we're going to sit back. We're not going to press them anymore. Yep. And then Chelsea were like... was
initiated.
And Chelsea were like, okay, you're going to press us, right? You're going to press us, right? They did that for the remaining of the game. For the remainder of the half. And then the second half, they came out and attacked more. But it's like, yo, you need to be able to have a plan B like that you can execute on the dot. And it's frustrating that's an inexperienced thing, but bro,
I agree because you watched in that Ipswich game, bro. You watched the players be like, all right, so you guys are gonna compress us, right? And they were like, no. So then
how many times I see Tosin on the ball just like doing the Jorginho again? I'm like, yo, this is ridiculous. Yeah. Like, what are we doing?
The thing is, like, they're pretty much saying, like, break us down. We're not gonna go press you. You're not gonna get us out of our shape. You're gonna have to pass through us or around us.
Yeah, and it's just like. Yeah, Maresca next season, you got to learn that, one, your system ain't all that. Anyone who feels like it can break it down, and then you don't have like a back. At least Tuchel had two different formations: the 3-5-2 and the 3-4-3. He changed between it. I know it was frustrating to play with the wingbacks at time. I know it was like hard, and sometimes it felt like it got found out. But he would switch between that, and it would give him some versatility. With Maresca, it doesn't feel like he got much. You would change the profiles and stuff. You'll change who plays in the midfield, but you won't change the shape. And that, I feel like, has led a lot to a recent form now where you said it. I feel like after Wolves, after a few of these other games, teams started to find out how to get the best out of us and what not to do against us. And so it's like,
for me, that was the biggest thing because
it's true.
Even then, like, we were like after the Wolves game, and especially after we kept winning after that, I think maybe like once we got out of, what was it, like the Liverpool, United, and was it Arsenal run? I think after that, teams kind of noticed, okay, maybe we can't win against them, but we can definitely know how to not lose. And that's when we went into that winter window where even then we weren't like, there was very few games where we got completely like blown out. I would say the only one was like Ipswich Town. That was definitely like the worst of the bunch. But for example, against the Fulham game, for example, for me, like the Fulham game, like that one, bro, we were winning 1-0. And then they went to 1-1. And at that point, like a better team at least protects a point. We didn't. We lost. And that was completely on us. Now I'd argue the same thing with the Villa game. Again, we led and then we lost. And like I said, like a better, just a more experienced team protects that point. But we just need to be, and that's what I'm saying with Maresca, you have to realize that like these are young players. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And you, at times, with your options off the bench, need to revitalize the team. Like regardless, that's what we were saying against the Fulham game and a ton of other ones. Like you need to, through your own decisions, be able to revitalize the team coming off the bench to get a result that we need. And you know it's difficult because I think even in the what was it? I think in the Crystal Palace game, right, where I think we drew 1-1, you know, we went ahead, and then I think near the end of the game, bro, we just gave up the goal and we did not know what to do.
And that's, again, that comes from inexperience, but also Maresca's inexperience as well.
Yep.
So I agree with 100% what you're saying, bro. And like I said, next season, and you know what you mentioned, even before that December period, when it started with Everton, when we went on 5 games in a row, even before those 5 games in a row, on the tail end of those 5 games in a row, we were like kind of looking a little shaky. The form wasn't there completely, but we were getting away with wins. And then the tide turned, and all of a sudden, like we started to capitulate, and the wheels on the bus started to fall off. Maresca, this is an experience now. This season is an experience. Like I said earlier, I do think no matter what happens this season, you're gonna get the job next season. I think a lot of it to do with the Club World Cup. Because the turnaround time for you're asking for, you need to get a good distance with the World Cup, and you'll get that with Maresca rather than bringing in a new manager within 3 weeks and expecting them to get results out of these players. But yeah, man, next season, next summer, the window, the Club World Cup, everything. Yeah, there's a lot to watch for. Hopefully, top 5 happens. We get UCL, because I'll be so real with you, bro. I'm so tired of doing Thursday streams. I am so tired. It's ruining my life. My life would be so much easier if I could stream on Tuesday or a Wednesday, and then my Thursdays are free, bro. But hey, Chelsea, it's a Chelsea thing, man. But all right, we'll wrap it up. A little over an hour. It's okay, guys. A little bonus content, just because no Casually Chelsea show and all that fun stuff. But RSM, let the homies in the chat. Over 60 views, smash up the like button. Let them know where to find you, my friend.
Yes, sir. Yeah, guy. You can see my Twitter handle over there, RSM TV 09 on YouTube. I'm currently at 690 subs. Nice. Trying to get to 1K. So if you haven't subbed up, sub. I appreciate it. And yeah, man, you're gonna see me again doing a watch along, probably with Ahmed for the Everton game. So come watch us lose our mind against Low Block.
Yeah, and you guys sometimes make the reaction channels too, and I'll find you guys on there like, yo, that's crazy, they made the reaction channel. But yeah, check out the content there, guys. His link is already in the bottom. It's linked in the title as well. He's always on here, so you'll always find RSM in the Casually Chelsea shows and the reactions and all that fun stuff. So definitely sub to him, support him. Really, like I said, and I mean what I said, I think you're really fucking smart, and I think you can come at these discussions really intelligently, and I think that's very much needed in the space, honestly, because there's way too many reactionary fans that just like to lose their mind over everything. And honestly, there are things to lose your mind over, but most of the time it's not really that big a deal. But all right, guys, you already know what to do. Smash the like button if you haven't done so already. Subscribe to the channel if you're new here. There's a raid message. You're gonna copy and paste that over to Don Husam's channel, who is currently, I guess, talking about Premier League stuff, because we did have midweek games. Arsenal drop points. They don't really care. Man City, last-minute winner against Aston Villa, which... Dasasi, welcome back to Chelsea. That's why I tweeted that. Welcome back to Cobham, Dasasi. You're coming back. It's a very unfortunate circumstance. The guy got cooked again. First in the UCL, now in the Prem again.
Shock horror.
Yeah, so it's he's coming back, boys. I hate to break it to you, but yeah. So we are still in 6th place, but it's very obtainable in terms of going up in the table depending on results. And if we can get more wins out of the rest of the games, which is going to be difficult. But stay tuned, guys. We'll be back again on Saturday for the Everton review. Hopefully that's a win. And then, yeah, we'll see what happens on Sunday and all that fun stuff. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. As always, have a wonderful rest of your night. And as always, stay casual. Peace.